I had always lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where nothing ever happens. Kids rode their bikes until sunset, and neighbors waved to each other from their front porches. But that all changed when the man moved in next door. He kept to himself mostly, an older guy, maybe in his 50s, with a permanent frown etched into his face. His yard was overgrown, his blinds always shut, and despite the whispers among the neighbors, no one really knew much about him. One night, I heard it for the first time, a muffled scream. It came from the direction of his house, faint but unmistakable. My stomach twisted as I glanced at my phone, 2:34 a.m. I tried convincing myself it was just the wind or a stray animal. But then it happened again. Night after night, the sounds grew louder, screams, dragging noises, things that made my skin crawl. I mentioned it to my wife, but she brushed it off. "You're overthinking it," she said. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. A week later, the noises stopped completely. At first, I felt relieved, thinking maybe whatever had been happening had ended. Then, one evening, I noticed the man in his driveway, struggling to load something into the trunk of his old sedan. From my window, it looked like a large, rolled-up carpet, stained and dirty. His movements were stiff, almost mechanical, like he was trying not to be noticed. My heart raced, but I stayed frozen, unsure of what to do. Could he really be a serial killer? My mind spun with the possibility. Curiosity got the better of me. That night, I snuck into his backyard under the cover of darkness. My breath fogged in the chilly air as I made my way to a small window near the basement. I pressed my face against the glass and peered inside. The dim light illuminated a grotesque scene, chains hanging from the ceiling, stained tools scattered across the floor, and something much worse. Bodies. Or what was left of them. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized the man next door wasn't just strange, he was a monster. In a panic, I stumbled backward, knocking over a rusted shovel leaning against the house. The clatter was deafening in the quiet night. Before I could react, the basement light flickered off. A shadow moved near the window. My pulse quickened, and I bolted toward my house, praying he hadn't seen me. Every step felt like a lifetime as I fumbled with my keys, my hands trembling too much to unlock the door. I made it inside and locked everything behind me, my mind racing with fear. I called the police, stammering out what I had seen. They arrived an hour later, but by then, the man, and whatever evidence had been in that basement, was gone. His house was eerily empty. No sign of him, no bodies, just a cold, sterile basement. I never saw him again, but I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there, watching, waiting for his next victim. And sometimes, late at night, I still hear the faint echo of those screams.